Masada are down. The Romans have broken through the walls. To everyone's surprise, they've turned and gone back to their camps. A lot of people are perplexed. We know that the women were all feeding their children in all these little apartments in the outside walls and in all the enclosed structures, and we know that they didn't even complete the meal, because wherever we dug in all the little apartments, we found food pots with food in the pots, food plates with food still on the plates. So we know they were feeding their children dinner. They have to be very, very tense at that point, because they have witnessed what happens when an angry Roman breaks into a city. And the leader has given an order for all the men to gather in the synagogue. And over there he tells them, guys, it's over. Don't be encouraged by the fact that they went back to their camp for the night. They didn't change their mind. They want to do exactly what we know that they want to do, and what we've seen them do in our hometowns when they broke into them. But it's the end of the day. It's been hot. They're exhausted. They're tired. They want to do this, but enjoy it. So they're going to go back to their camps, and they want to come in the morning after a good night's sleep. They know that we're not going anywhere. There's a siege wall. There's 36 siege towers. They know that we're all going to be here in the morning, and they'll come in here, and they're going to do it. This time tomorrow, it's over. We're all dead. The only choice that we have is, do we arrive at that point that we're dead the way they want us to arrive there, raping our wives, taking our children as slaves, killing us, or taking us, the ringleaders, to trial in Rome? Or do we overrule and rob them of that last one pleasure that they're so looking forward to, and we decide how to end our lives in a dignified manner? And I'm going to read you excerpts from his speech. Brave and loyal followers, long ago we resolved to serve neither the Romans nor anyone other than God himself, who alone is the true and just Lord of mankind. The time has now come to prove our determination by our deeds. At such a time, we must not disgrace ourselves. Hitherto, we have never submitted to slavery, even when it brought no danger with it. We must not choose slavery now, and with it, penalties that'll mean the end of everything if we fall alive into the hands of the Romans. God has given us this privilege, that we can die nobly and as free men. In our case, it is evident that daybreak will end our resistance, but we are free to choose an honorable death with our loved ones. Let our wives die unabused, our children without knowledge of slavery. After that, let us do each other an ungrudging kindness, preserving our freedom as a glorious winding sheet. But first, let our possessions and the whole fortress go up in flames. It'll be a bitter blow to the Romans, that I know, to find our persons beyond their reach and nothing left for them to loot. One thing only let us spare, our stores of food. It'll bear witness when we are dead to the fact that we perished not through want, but because, as we resolved in the beginning, we chose death rather than slavery. Come, while our hands are free and can hold a sword, let them do a noble service. Let us die as unenslaved men by our enemies, and leave this world in company with our wives and children. So basically what he tells them is, the only choice we have is how we die. And I suggest that we do it in a way that robs the Romans of what they're enjoying, and we die in a controlled, honorable matter. Now, the first thing they do, he tells them, we're all going to take a broken shard of clay and write our names on it, and then we're going to cast lots. 10 men's names are going to come up in the lots. They're going to be charged with something. Once they've determined who those 10 men are, they all have to go to their little apartments all throughout Masada, and I'm just going to say it, as gruesome as it is, kill their wife and children. Unless you're one of the 10 men whose names came up in the lots, you then wait. And Josephus says they laid on the floor with their arms around the bodies of their wife and children and waited. The 10 men whose names came up in the lot had to go through each and every home and slit the throat of the father of each family who had already killed his wife and children. And he, Josephus says, willingly submits his neck and dies along with his wife and children. Then they are now the last 10 men living, still alive on Masada. They go through all the structures and burn everything down. They don't want the Romans to inherit, they don't want them to have the joy of raping, pillaging, taking slaves, torturing, taking people on trial. They want to rob them of all that, and even the fortress that they've conquered, they want it to be useless to them, completely destroyed, burnt down, no possessions, no nothing. The only thing that they don't burn is the food storages. They want the Romans to see, we didn't die because we lacked, we died because we're not willing to live one more day as your slaves. We'd rather die if that's the option. Once they've burnt everything, one of the 10 has to kill the other 9, and he is now the last surviving member. On Masada, he goes to the northern palace that he's already set the upper level on fire, goes down through the middle level, sets that on fire, and then he goes to the lower level where he had already killed his wife and baby child, sets fire to that level. As the fire starts burning the ceiling beams that support the tiled roof, once he sees that the whole ceiling is about to cave in and collapse, Josephus says he summoned all his courage, put a dagger through his heart, turned it, and fell dead over the body of his wife and children, his wife and child, and the ceiling caved in on them and buried those 3 skeletons alive, and those 3 bodies alive. Those are the 3 skeletons we found in 1960, and it was like, wow, we know exactly who you are. The Romans come in the next morning expecting resistance, expecting to unleash their fury, and there's just this eerie silence. They go into the one structure, bodies. They go into another structure, more bodies, more bodies. There's nothing to loot, there's no one to rape, there's no slaves to be taken, and there's not even a fortress to enjoy. And it really is a soured victory for them. But you have to be asking yourself, how could they have done such a thing? Because the instinct, the parental instinct to protect your children to the death is usually very strong. Women become like animals when it's their children's lives on the line. How